When a bright-eyed nanny accidentally becomes an expectant mother, she discovers a target in her back and how the wealthy use money to get away with murder. After her shift at a restaurant, Daisy urges her coworker Gina to check out the nearby scene where a woman jumped off a building. Despite her hesitations, Gina goes with her, complaining how her friend likes to put her nose on such events. The following day, Daisy meets with Martha, who's looking into hiring her for the wealthy family she works for. Not long after her interview, Martha takes the new nanny to meet her employer Roxanne, who's pregnant with twins. This surprises Daisy since she wasn't told she'd be caring for twins. Roxanne complains that Martha didn't clarify this, so to compensate, she offers the nanny twice the agreed salary, much to Daisy's delight. After this, Daisy gets settled in her new room in front of the bedroom of the woman's older daughter. This was specifically requested by Roxanne, who wants their nanny to be nearby in case they need her in the middle of the night. Soon enough, Daisy meets Roxanne's daughter Nami, whom she'll mainly be responsible for until the twins arrive. After arriving from school, the girl heads to her room, making the nanny wonder if she won't greet her mother first. Nami explains that she's supposed to change clothes and wash up before seeing her pregnant mother. With this, Daisy tries to help her, but Nami declares that she can take care of herself. Despite the kid's coldness to her, Daisy smiles, making Nami soften towards her a bit. During dinner, Roxanne asks her daughter what she thinks of her new nanny. Nami answers that Daisy likes her, having read it on her face. Hearing this makes Daisy smile. Adding to her luck, she later gets to eat the family's leftovers, thus letting her enjoy a bit of luxury. Soon, the man of the house, William, returns home. Nami happily greets him and introduces her new nanny, while Martha explains that the woman was referred to her by a neighbor whom Daisy previously worked for. The man merely gives the new lady a curt greeting before heading to his bedroom to check on his wife. Moments later, Daisy arrives with some wine that William asked for. After she leaves, Roxanne tells her husband that Daisy studied early childhood development in college but dropped out. William questions if this is enough credentials to raise kids, but his wife assures him that the woman seems to like being around children. Finally done with work, Daisy settles on her bed, only for Nami to call out to her. She asks her nanny to keep her door open so she won't feel alone at night, and Daisy complies. The following day, Daisy delivers breakfast to William while he's playing the piano in the pool house. She admires the music but doesn't interrupt him and leaves. After William leaves for work, Daisy is tasked to care both for his wife and daughter. When the man returns, he catches her cleaning their bathtub, which puts her in an awkward position. He eyes the nanny with interest while his wife is mere inches away, so Daisy finishes up and leaves quietly. Days later, Daisy and the family head to their beach house for the weekend. At night, the nanny plays with Nami in the pool, unaware that William is watching her again. To ignore his urges, the man invites his wife into the water just as Nami decides to rest. However, Roxanne gets uncomfortable and insists on going to bed instead. The married couple tries to get intimate in their room, but again, Roxanne gets uncomfortable and refuses to continue. After she goes to sleep, her unsatisfied husband heads to Daisy's room and offers the confused nanny a drink. Without even exchanging words, the man initiates intimacy with the new lady, and the woman obliges. Over the next few days, Daisy can't help but feel guilty when she's around Roxanne, more so when she catches William glancing at her. Despite this, she remains a dutiful nanny with Nami, with whom she's formed a bond. After days of resisting temptations, however, William soon visits Daisy's room to spend a passionate night with her. Unbeknownst to them, Martha is awakened by their voices, so she heads up and discovers the pair together. During their encounter, Daisy hesitates and asks the man to stop, but he continues until he's satisfied. The following morning, Martha doesn't say anything as they prepare breakfast, even sending Daisy to her routine of bringing William's meal to the pool house. This time, the nanny stops and watches the man play the piano. To her surprise, he leaves a check for her in exchange for keeping their passionate night a secret. Shocked, Daisy heads back to the house and weeps as she realizes that the man had treated her like a woman of the night. Martha sees this and, knowing what happened, advises the woman to just carry on with the day. That evening, Martha admits that she sympathizes with how, in their job, they must learn to take it all in and get through the day. She shares that she and her mom used to work for Roxanne's mother before they became wealthy. Fortunately for the woman, Roxanne married rich and achieved living like a queen like she always wanted. While studying the other woman's body, Martha notices something and asks if the nanny has had lovers. Daisy reveals that she hasn't since she thought it was a waste of time, and this makes Martha suspicious. The following day, Martha meets with Roxanne's mother Esther and shares how William slept with a new nanny. Esther blames her former housekeeper for hiring a pretty one, but Martha defends that it was her daughter who chose Daisy out of the applicants she gave. Martha then reveals that Daisy is unaware that she's pregnant, having noticed the changes in the nanny's body. Given this, she thinks Daisy is too oblivious to have planned on conceiving William's child for money. Esther doubts this since the nanny still slept with her son-in-law. Still, Martha blames Roxanne for being oblivious to her husband's urges and hiring an attractive nanny to tempt him. This makes Esther complain about how her daughter might get in trouble if she doesn't watch over her life. Meanwhile, Daisy meets up with Gina and tells her about her relationship with her employer. The nanny convinces herself that it was romantic and even considers the check as a gift. However, Gina wonders how she can be around the man's wife after sleeping with him. Daisy shrugs it off, defending that it's done already so she can't change it. This isn't the case for the rest of the family, however, as Esther has Daisy clean the chandelier when she later visits. The woman then stages an accident to make the nanny fall off the ladder. Desperate, the woman hangs from the chandelier but ultimately falls. This sends her to the hospital. With the nanny out of the way, Esther reveals William's unfaithfulness to her daughter and how Daisy is carrying his child. Soon, Martha reports to them that Daisy only suffered a concussion and a bruised pelvis, from which she can heal in a couple of days. This pisses Esther off as she hoped that the fall would cause Daisy to lose her condition. With this, she orders Martha to settle things with the nanny. After ending the call, Esther promises her daughter that she'll iron things out. Tired of her meddling, Roxanne asks her mother to leave her family alone. However, the woman reminds her that she wanted to marry rich, and to keep her marriage, she has to bear with the drama that it includes. Elsewhere, Martha visits Daisy and pretends that Esther is seeking forgiveness in the form of another check with a large sum. The housekeeper explains that the wealthy believe they can just throw money at any problem. To workers like them, it's not a bad trade-off, so she should just swallow it up and take what she can. Despite the large sum in her hands, however, Daisy is appalled by the idea. Martha soon arrives home, and Roxanne scolds the woman for spreading gossip about her husband without telling her first. Before they can discuss this further, William returns. The man soon starts packing for his business trip, and Martha helps him. However, Roxanne is still holding a grudge against the older woman, so she starts throwing rude remarks at her. Because of this, Martha later drinks in her room, ranting to herself about how ungrateful Roxanne is when she was the one who practically raised her. She also criticizes Esther for pretending to be her friend and promising her many things, only to keep her around to continue serving her daughter. Drunkenly, she declares that fate will have its way with a family who stole her life. The following day, Daisy finally learns that she is pregnant. Shell-shocked, the woman later admits to Gina that she's considering getting rid of her condition. However, her friend advises her to leave instead. She has already received a large sum, so she can take care of her child on her own. Worried, Gina joins Daisy when she returns to her boss's residence to care for her. She even buys supplemental milk to aid in her pregnancy. While she is resting, Esther approaches the woman and apologizes for causing the accident, though in truth, she wishes that the fall had killed the nanny. Gina eventually goes to work, leaving her friend at the vengeful family's mercy. As she sleeps that night, Roxanne sneaks into her room with a golf club, pondering about ending the woman's life. However, Martha catches her doing this, so she abandons her plans and leaves. On another night, the oblivious Daisy shares with her coworker how she doesn't feel comfortable around the house anymore. Because of this, she wonders about quitting, and Martha encourages her, hoping to spare her. Unbeknownst to them, Roxanne is soon contemplating firing Daisy. Her mother points out that as long as the woman has William's child, Roxanne will always feel threatened. With that, the woman asks her mother for advice. Later, Daisy approaches her employer and announces her resignation. To everyone's surprise, Roxanne slaps the woman and reveals that she knows everything. With this, Esther orders the nanny to end her condition and leave their lives for good, even tempting her with a larger sum to convince the woman. Broken by the events, Daisy cries in bed, expressing how she should have thought of Roxanne before allowing William to use her. The housekeeper, however, points out that it's William's fault, not hers. Still, she advises the nanny to accept their offer and move on. As Martha turns away to leave, Daisy suddenly apologizes to her. The housekeeper tells her she shouldn't apologize, nor should she allow the family to do what they want with her. Seething from her own sacrifices to the ungrateful family, Martha tells her to stand up for herself and fight back. Meanwhile, Roxanne shares her doubts that Daisy would ever get rid of her condition since the woman likes children. With this, she and her mother devised a more concrete solution. That evening, Nami visits her nanny and tells her to sleep first so she can watch over her. She's concerned about her since she knows Esther pushed her off the ladder on purpose, having heard her grandmother and Roxanne talk about this. This shocks Daisy, so Nami adds that she believes she's a good person and doesn't want anything to happen to her. The woman thanks her for this while hiding her anger about the revelation. The next morning, Roxanne heads to a market to fetch some illicit medicine, which she later mixes with the milk in the nanny's room. Martha notices her coming out of the woman's room, but before she can investigate, her employer orders her to move Daisy into her room on the lower floor. That evening, the nanny packs up to move and drinks her milk as usual, unaware of what Roxanne mixed into it. Nami catches her packing up, so Daisy excuses that her new nanny will move into the room soon. This bothers the girl, so Daisy assures her that she's okay. She's just expecting a child of her own, so she has to take things easy. The idea of the woman becoming a mother excites Nami, making Daisy wonder about what she really wants. The girl then joins her mother to head to the hospital as Roxanne is about to give birth. The following day, Daisy approaches Martha and tells her that she's decided to keep her child. The housekeeper supports her decision before calling up Esther to tell her the news. Meanwhile, William arrives at the hospital and meets his newborn twins. However, when he kisses his wife, she bites him to declare that she knows what he did. Not wanting to cause a scene, the husband just excuses himself and leaves. Later that day, Daisy suffers a bad stomachache. Desperate, she later surprises William in his bathtub when he returns home. She tempts him before revealing that she's carrying carrying his child, but his mother-in-law and wife offered her money to get rid of it. Daisy declares that she doesn't want to lose her child, so she orders the man to do something about this. Suddenly, her pain starts again, making her cry. Despite this, William merely walks away as the water in the tub turns red. The following day, William checks in on the sick nanny and finally decides to help the woman and his child with her. By the time Esther and Roxanne return home, however, Daisy gets sent to the hospital again. Seeing this, Esther orders Martha to pack the woman's things, sure that she won't be returning. To her surprise, William calls for her, so she meets with her son-in-law. Aware that he's suspecting something, Esther immediately claims that their nanny was already pregnant when she arrived, hoping to convince him that it isn't his child. However, William knows that someone mixed medicine into Daisy's drink to make her lose her child. No one would have put that much effort if he wasn't the father. Esther confesses to doing this, hoping to spare her daughter from William's rage. This has the man berating her for doing it to his child. Meanwhile, Martha visits Daisy and reveals that William had her drink tested and discovered the medicine that made her lose her condition. The housekeeper knows Roxanne did it, asserting how the rich always think they can get away with anything. With this and Nami's confession that her grandmother deliberately pushed her, Daisy realizes that the two knew about her pregnancy before she did. With no choice, Martha admits that she figured it out and told them, so the nanny slaps her in revenge. Despite this, Martha gives her a check from Roxanne, urging her to just move on with her life and forget that this happened. Daisy, however, refuses and chooses to get vengeance for her child. Again, the housekeeper supports her decision. One night, William tries to reconcile with his wife, but when Roxanne refuses his advances, he relents, knowing that she'll cave eventually. Unbeknownst to them, Martha lets Daisy into their home. She waits until Roxanne visits her daughter before sneaking into their bedroom to take her twins. William catches her and takes his son from her hands, only for Daisy to take the other. He begs her not to harm his son, but she points out that she's not the one who hurts children. Still, William coaxes her into surrendering his kid, and the crazed woman smiles as she walks away. Upon learning about the event, the family soon gathers, suspicious that Daisy is still in the house. Roxanne begs Martha to do something about it, but the woman suddenly declares that she's quitting. The family argues that they've given the woman so much only for her to abandon them in their time of need. However, Martha stresses how she's given her life to them, so whatever handouts they've given her aren't enough. She calls them soulless for shamelessly throwing money at everything. Just then, Nami notices Daisy upstairs, so the former nanny announces that she lost her child because of her father. Ashamed, Roxanne tries to silence the woman, but Daisy declares that she can't simply forget the atrocities they've done to her. William tearfully begs the woman for a chance to correct things. However, Daisy decides that there's nothing they can do to fix it. With that, she apologizes to Nami before using the chandelier to end her life in front of the screaming family. To further this nightmare, Daisy also sets herself on fire. Martha tearfully watches the woman burn, unaware that this was the revenge she was plotting. Still, she can't do anything but take her own advice and move on, so she heads out the door. Months after this, the family celebrates Nami's birthday in their beach home. Though her parents drunkenly sing to her while her decorations are scattered everywhere, they continue showering themselves with glitz and wine, refusing to acknowledge the consequences of their actions and how it has destroyed their family.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.